agency training around the region to bring you the best in terms of tools, resources, and trainings. If you've joined us before, welcome back. If you're new to the program, welcome. This is the 6th in a series of programs we're bringing to you to help you better advise your customers and protect your own business during these uncertain times. Last week, we heard from Mr. Tan Kar Hor, who is very familiar to the Prudential community, former CEO in Malaysia, and of CITIC Prudential in China. He'll be back today, as well as 4 agency leaders from the Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia to do some sharing. And if you have joined us before, you'll note the spirit of this program is fundamentally about sharing and engaging. That will continue today. So the sharing part, you'll hear from these agency leaders about what they're doing. Tan Kar Hor will continue his presentation. And on the engaging front, I'm going to take you behind the scenes with some of the work we're doing at PruExpert Labs to help us to reinvent training. Before I do that, I'd like to share some of the features of Zoom to help you better interact with this webinar. The first to note is the chat feature. Chat is when you need to get in touch with us for technical issues. The Q&A feature is when you want to interact with me or any of our panelists. So if you have questions, you can get those to us through the Q&A feature. Now to the first part of our program this week, I want to take you behind the scenes, what we're doing with PruExpert Labs, and how we're thinking about helping you become the most confident, noblest version of yourself as a financial advisor. To do that, we have a set of characteristics. In technical terms, or in geeky terms, we call these a success profile. What does good look like when it comes to being a distinctly Prudential agent? We've got 5. I'll take you through them quickly, and then I want to hear your feedback on how these sound to you. So we start with the headspace, how we think. Do we think big and dream bigger? Are we ambitious? Do we have that can-do spirit that so uniquely characterizes who we are as Prudential agents? And if you think even of the Prudential as #1 song, some of the lyrics map to that. For example, one of the lyrics here is, "Doing the very best will be our mission." And that requires a degree of ambition. Second, the eyes. Are our eyes open? Are we curious? Are we humble enough to have our minds changed and to see the changing world around us so that we can rise to the occasion? In the Pru is #1 song, the lyric is, "We'll do whatever it takes to touch the sky." Third, empathy. This is the heart space. Do we understand the needs, desires, and contexts of our customers? Can we hear them so that we understand their hopes, fears, and dreams? And from that place of deep empathy, we can understand their needs and design solutions that meet those needs for them and help them fulfill their dreams. That's empathy. That's the heart space. Fourth, the gut, the belly, courage. Do you have what it takes to do the right thing, to take tough decisions, to take bold actions? If you look at the Pru is #1 song, we are the people. Our values mean a lot. And in this case, Prudential's legacy belongs to all of us. And that's why it's so important to be courageous and to protect that legacy. Whether it means that we're the insurer that does the right thing and puts customers at the center of all of our decisions, or it means that we are one of the best, for example, in the region when it comes to MDRT attainment. It takes courage to do that. And finally, the feet. Nimble. Are we quick on the feet? Do we move with speed and agility? And when we get knocked down, and we will, how quickly do we get back up? How resilient are we? And that's the characteristic of nimble. So these 5, when we design our training programs, we think about these. We think about what it means to be empathetic in the context of the sales advisory process, and what it takes to understand customer needs and then design solutions accordingly. We think about ambitious, for example, when we design trainings around finding new customers and all of the hard work it takes to go out and do that. Or for example, when we design our trainings around initiating conversation and building rapport, we think about the courage it takes to do that for the first time, to talk to somebody that you don't know. When we talk about overcoming objections, we think about nimble and what it means for you to get back up when you get knocked down. If a client rejects you or your proposal, then how do you take care of yourself? How resilient are you? So these characteristics fundamentally inform how we design our trainings. Now, for us to design good trainings that meet your needs, it's only right that we are courageous to hear your feedback, curious to get it from you, and empathetic to take it to heart as we design these. And so I'd like to give a poll now to hear your feedback. There are 7 simple questions on this poll. The first one, do these characteristics describe you? Do they describe how you think of yourself in your role as an agent with Prudential? The second question, do you see these around you? Do these characteristics describe your agency? The third one, then, we're asking you for your preferences. Do you prefer, for example, ambitious or driven? Or if you have some other preference, tell us that in the Q&A feature. The fourth question, same thing. If you had a choice, do you prefer curious or humble? Both in the similar space, but slightly different. Or if you have another idea for us, let us know in the Q&A. Do you prefer empathetic or customer-centric? Empathy speaks to the heart and what it means to understand people's hopes, fears, and dreams at a very deep level. Whereas customer-centric speaks to something that's a bit more about the head and putting customers at the center. Both very similar, but also different at the same time. So we're curious to know what works best for you. If you had a choice, do you prefer courageous or bold? Again, very similar, but slightly different. Let's hear from you what you think. And finally, do you prefer nimble, adaptive, or even agile? Which of those 3 best suits what it means to move with speed and agility and to be resilient in your work? And if something else works for you, you can let us know that as well in the Q&A. So with that, let's see how the poll is going. And we'll hear some of your reactions and get your feedback now. Okay, let's just go through them quickly. So looks like almost 80% of you would say that you see these in yourself. 60% see it around you. And I guess about a third of you aren't quite sure. Some of it works around you and some of it doesn't. And then as we go through your preferences, it seems that driven is coming through quite strongly. Humble, more strongly than curiosity, but not by much. Empathy, more strong than customer-centric. Courageous, quite strong, 80%. And it looks like adaptive is what you prefer for the 5th. So look, this is excellent feedback. Thank you. We will take it and we will bake it in to all of the work we're doing and keep you updated on our progress as we go. So that's the first part of our program today, is to get that feedback from you and to engage you in the behind-the-scenes design of some of our work in PruExpert. Now I want to go to Mr. Tan Karhor, who, as I mentioned, is familiar to many of you. He's been with Prudential for over 20 years in various capacities. He's risen up from the ground to become the CEO of Malaysia and later the CEO of CITIC Pru in China. Karhor, welcome back.
Thank you, Mac. Good morning, Prudential. Yeah, it's so great, and I feel so happy, energized, to be back again.
Yeah, it's good. It's great to have you back, Karhor. And how does it feel for you to be back? This is your second appearance with us.
Yeah, Matt, I want to share this small experience with you. After the last week session, in fact, I received so many messages, especially my Facebook. I have managed to reconnect back to a lot of my old comrade. I call it comrade. Yeah. I'm so happy that you can rekindle the kind of a Prudential spirit. Yeah. So I'm looking forward actually for today.
We do have a very unique community, and it's great to be a part of it. I know from last week I learned that you had a hand in writing the Pru is Number One song that I was just talking about a moment ago.
Yeah. In fact, to be correct, I was involved, but I wasn't. In fact, that was written by the managing director of our local partner of Prudential in Malaysia. But the Chinese lyric, I was the one that written it. So that will remain a sweet memory for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I have to say, and I said this last week, I'm new to Prudential. I've been involved for about 2 years. And I remember the first time I went to an agency event and heard that song play and felt the electricity in the room and the goosebumps that I got on my arm to feel that energy that everybody brought to singing that song. And I think that's one of the things that makes us so unique and distinct as a community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So Karhor, you're going to continue your talk from last week.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. What do you have in store for us today?
You know, last week I started by saying how to bring ourselves during this crisis moment to see the opportunity and yet, bringing everyone to become victory. Okay, so it's actually from one side to the other end. Okay, and to do that, we say there are two A. One is the awareness, the other one is action. And last week I did talk a lot on the awareness, and today I'm going to take some time to share with everyone what are the action that you have to really take, because by having awareness itself, it's not good enough.
Yeah, great. Well, Karhor, why don't I turn it over to you then for about 15 or 20 minutes to take us through what your suggestions are around action.
All right, thank you, Matt. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Let me start by start with my this slide. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My slide is on, but I didn't see myself. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm on. Yeah, my slide. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me do a little recap. Yeah, of what we have actually gone through last week, because some of you may not have joined. Yeah, and we said in order to turn crisis into opportunity, there are four key essentials we need to bear in mind. Number one, we must always focus back on the one and the only purpose of life insurance. Why is life insurance existed? And there was the risk. Yeah, because of risk, then we are able to actually show our purpose and our value of life insurance even better. So when other people see risk as crisis, we must immediately switch our mind and see risk as an opportunity. And number two, there are two fundamental principles. Number one, a risk is not a risk if you want to know how to manage it well. And number two, because arising from this risk, another very key principle is that we must always see ourselves as a solution provider and also professional services provider. Yeah, which means we must move from being selling to our customer and then move together with the customer that we are helping them to buy. All right. So we are not a product pusher, but rather we are professional solution and services provider. So that these are the two fundamental principles. And arising from this COVID-19, I also shared that last week, there are three unprecedented risks that has been created. One, of course, is what we call the health and the life risk. And number two, for the financial as well as the economic risk. And the third is the unemployment risk. So I mentioned just now, risk is an opportunity to us. So the bigger the risk, the bigger the opportunity. But by having this awareness itself, yeah, it's not good enough. Yeah, you must take action. So today I'm going to focus. What are the four critical activities you need to take during this period to become a winner? And if you do these four activities, remember last week I started by saying the READ indicator. Yeah, you'll be able to have a very good result in your READ indicator. Your result, you're so excited, and you become very active, and most important, you become more disciplined during this period. All right, so let me go into that. Yeah, how to bring you from crisis into opportunity and victory. Yeah, last week I talked about awareness. Now I'm going to action. Okay, So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the 4 key action. Yeah. The first thing, yeah, during this period, this is the best time for us to build our PBA. What is our PBA? It's the personal